For our next demonstration, we're going to get the Part B tool to the Part A wire stripper. The Part B tool is the Ratcheting Crimper. Before I got into selling hardware, I didn't know what a crimping tool was, let alone a ratcheting crimper. But if you listen closely, this ratchets closed and gives the customer a good crimp on their electrical connections every time. Another feature it has is it's color coded for your different gauge wires. See the red, the blue-green, and the yellow. After you crimp, you simply squeeze and release. What we're going to do now is we're going to go down here in the kit to the electrical department. We're going to show you with the crosslink primary wire and also some items out of the electrical department how you can fasten wires better than anything out there in the industry. We're going to show you what a multi-link butt connector is and how it works. This is our butt connectors. We list them up here as good, better, and best. The shrink and seal terminal is one that you just put the wires in and then you heat shrink it, which seals it. The solder and seal terminal, you crimp, solder, and seal. But you notice that it does not have as much metal in as best, which is our multi-link. The multi-link has your solder, your crimping area, and your shrink tubing to seal. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I need to cut 2 pieces of wire. Once again, I've got my great wire cutter on my wire cutting and splicing crimping tool. The wire stripping tool gives you a good cut every time. We'll need to make our 2 wires that we're splicing together. And we'll put this away so that it's not in our way. Now we need to strip the wire off of 2 ends of the crosslink primary wire so that they can go into the butt connector. Simply put, easy job. Determine how much you want to take off. In this case, almost 1/2 inch. That's simple. Now to the other wire. Almost 1/2 inch. There, another nice feature here is I took too little off. I just go back and take the rest off. Now I do like to turn my wires around like this to make them a little bit more stiff and rigid. That's the nice thing about the metal crosslink primary wire. You can make that nice point to fit into that butt connector. A butt connector means it is a connector that is the same size on both ends and gives you a straight through connection. There are T connectors, O connectors, all kinds of connectors, but this is a butt connector. Now, once again, we are going to crimp, solder, and seal. We take our ratcheting crimper in the blue-green mode because that's the size. We must crimp this wire that we just put in. You get a good solid crimp every time. We would not even need to solder this wire. It is in there for good. There is metal holding that wire to this butt connector. Now we need to fasten the other side. Once again, my wires are a little too long. I don't do this for a living, so I just cut a little bit off. Like that. You want to have a good clean connection without seeing any of the copper wire through your butt connector. Gives the customer peace of mind knowing that wire's back there underneath that metal. Once again, go to the blue-green, to the matching blue-green to your butt connector, and then crimp. We have now crimped our connection. Now for the next step of this demonstration, we need to get out our mini heat gun. In our electrical box, we have what we call our mini heat gun or mini flame torch. We also have our Momar lighter. This heat torch is really nice because, number one, your customer can have a heat torch in the workbench somewhere that doesn't take up a lot of room. Secondly, a nice feature to it is you can adjust the flame up and down with this simple adjustment here. Always turn it on high to light it. And of course, don't point it towards your customer's face, please. Your torch is lit. You're finished with your Momar lighter. Now that's an awful lot of flame there. You may want to take it back to there where you've got a minimum flame. I don't think that's enough. I like to do it right in the middle. Now we simply, and this is very important, never get your flame to where it comes in contact with your butt connector. Your connection should always be heated, melted, and sealed without being burned. So here we go. Always work from the center out. Heat rises, don't worry, it will start to melt. You notice your shrink tubing started to shrink? There is a soft plastic inside of this butt connector that has a sealer that will seal against your wire. The plastic on the outside is much harder, and it will give you good corrosion resistance to acids and alkalis. Once again, I'm not hanging around too long in any one spot because I don't like to burn up my connections. Notice what's happening? We're shrinking and we're sealing. What are we sealing from over here on the end of the shrink tubing? We're sealing from moisture. Moisture is the killer on electrical connections. You get rust, you get corrosion, you get shorts, and you lose your contact. In this case, you notice our butt connectors being a little stubborn, so I have to get the flame up a little closer. But when you have to get the flame on the butt connector, don't hold it in one place. Keep things moving. Show your customer, and I'll time out for a moment here and show you we now have nice tight seals on both ends of this butt connector. We've now sealed out the moisture. Now we want to finish our soldering. You do not go into the solder and just cook it straight. You work it from the center out, the center out. You'll notice the solder will start to melt in and seal that connection. This is the best electrical connection on the market today. Many connectors seal, many connectors solder, many connectors crimp. This is the only kind of connector that will do all three: seal, crimp, and solder. This is the best electrical connection that your customer can buy. Always turn your torch off before you finish. That way you're not going to burn the house down. You now have the best electrical fitting on the market today. Of course, you do not let your customer touch it until it cools, but that is a good fitting. You have shrink tubing, you have melted solder on those wires that are overlapping each other in there, and you have double crimps. No better connection out there at all. It doesn't matter if you're repairing your 4 or 7 volt border lawn lights along your sidewalk at home, or whether you're under the hood of Dad's car or your wife's car, whatever. This is the best electrical connector out there, the multi-link connectors from Handyman Hardware.